Hi guys, welcome back to another video where we'll be discussing the concerns and problems that some of the leaseholders will face in owning a flat or apartment in the UK, specifically looking at EWS1 and ground rent. So first of all, what is EWS1?
So EWS1 is a form that is part of the requirement now for any lender who wants to lend on, a block of flat apartments. It's basically the external wall fire assessment of the building. Now, that's come about since obviously the incident in Grenfell, because obviously the cladding of that building was the cause of the fire going from one apartment to the whole block, and obviously a lot of people lost their lives and stuff. So that's come about, and it's fairly recent, but obviously a lot of lenders are now not lending on apartments that don't have a certificate for that, and that's caused a lot of grief for a lot of people because, say for example, you come and bought an apartment 2-3 years ago, and this wasn't in place, and now you want to sell it, but no one can get a mortgage, which devalues your property because you only have to go to cash buyers, and anyone who's paying cash, as we all know, they want to sort of reduce the price as much as possible. So, and obviously that the cost of getting that done at the moment is with the leaseholders, but from what I've heard, uh, apparently the government's looking at ways of sort of funding this. So they speak to the freeholders and fund them to get the building compliant. Whether that's going to happen or not, we'll have to see. But if that happens, obviously it's a good point for people. But if not, then it's a bit of an issue because you end up paying 5, 10, 20,000, depending on how much the cost is or where it is, out of your own pocket to get the building compliant, where you haven't signed up for it when you bought. But
Okay, now another issue or concern for leaseholders would be ground rent. Why would that be an issue?
again, that comes from some developers that have been greedy in the past. And so what's happened was, so you do a development, and why that's become an issue, and there was a petition signed, and there's now talks obviously getting rid of the ground rent, is because some developers have just been greedy and having high ground rents, and I'm talking thousands of pounds, uh, and then, or some of them have started low, and then they increased it doubled it every 5 years or 10 years, um, and obviously you got that lease for 100 years. You know what I mean? So, and if you were paying £250 the first year, you could be paying over 1,000. In 4 years' time. So that's how it came about. Obviously, in all the other countries, there's no such thing as leaseholder. They you just own the property and that's it. And their sort of UK model is probably going towards that now. With obviously at the moment, if you don't set your ground rent to 0.1% of sale price, a lot of lenders wouldn't lend on that development, or on individual apartments in there, which then obviously affects your sales. So if you want to sell it, you'll have to reduce it to 0.1% and then do it based on RPI. So it's a set amount that it can go up by every sort of 10 to 20 years or whatever. But I think the end game is going to be either peppercorn lease, 999-year lease with no ground rent or very minimal ground rent. I think that's the way it's sort of gonna go.
Now, what would the benefits of not having any ground rent be if you are a freeholder, you're the developer?
There's no benefit. That's what I said. So it just came about because some developers were greedy, and they were charging an arm and a leg. So now, government intervened, and they tried to sort of take it out because people weren't charging the amount that they were supposed to charge. So these are two real big issues, but I think both of them are now sort of being addressed, and in the next few years, I think they'll all be sort of completely out of the market, basically.
And that makes apartments and flats more desirable to either invest in or buy.
Yeah. So if you got apartments now, probably not a good time to sell. But a lot of people panic and think this is going to last forever, or they don't want to pay, the EWS1 or whatever that the money that they had to pay on the service charge. But once all this gets resolved, obviously a lot of these apartments and flats are in prime locations in city centres and stuff, and that's when the jump in price is going to happen.
Okay, now in terms of the EWS1, is that the developers? Is it on the developer to make sure?
Now it is, yeah.
So going forward, if I wanted to do a flat development, a high development, it's as a developer, it's my responsibility to get the EWS1 form and make it compliant.
And it's not just on the new builds as well. We were doing a refurb project. So say we did this one 2 years ago, and then now we're doing next door. There's all sorts of different fire strategies that you need to sort of make sure it's in place, where we didn't have to with the other one. So it keeps changing by the year, and depending on how things go. And I think, like I said, the end game will be no ground rent and all sorts of compliant developments as well.
Do you think this will kind of put developers off making apartment developments, or do you think it won't be affected at all?
Well, there is some effect because the freehold of a building had some value based on the ground rent that was coming in, because it was assured income. There's no tenant or anything. The leasehold is sold for 200 years, and for the next 200 years, even though the amount is minimal, you still got some income coming in, and that's valuable. But obviously, if they get rid of that, then you lose that. But you just have to factor that into your development appraisal, and look at it that way.
Okay, guys. So that was the questions and concerns around developing apartments and flats in the UK. Now, if you found this video useful, then make sure you drop us a like. And if you've got any questions regarding this video or anything we talked about in this video, make sure you comment it down below, where we'll be more than happy to answer it for you. Now, if you are new to our channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And if you don't already, make sure you follow us on our social media, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.